Chelsea are confident in signing Crystal Palace's Michael Olise. Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. Yes, today's video is going to centre around this man right here in Michael Olise of Crystal Palace. Now, some of you may be thinking, Fletch, you did a video on this yesterday. And yes, you are right. But fingers crossed today, the audio actually works. So you can actually hear what I have to say on Crystal Palace's Michael Olise. Anyway, the Crystal Palace winger seems to be very much in demand this summer as the transfer window is once again open. The rumour mill is of course spinning, and we are set for another exciting summer of transfer activity. The Euros may obviously be on right now, and of course that could obviously slow things down a little bit, but of course things are still beginning to spin and continue to gather momentum, and none more so than Michael Olise, who was a transfer saga that we talked about a little bit last year, but seems to have reignited this year. After last year, he seemingly rejected Chelsea in order to sign a new contract with Crystal Palace. More on that a little bit later. But like I say, this year it seems to be reignited. We seem to have this bigger and better transfer saga in which it's not just Chelsea that are after the 22-year-old winger. There are others in the play as well. So a lot to talk about with Michael Olise, a lot to talk about with a potential move to Chelsea, who have been strongly linked with him and are seemingly in pole position to sign the youngster. But here we are. So we're going to be talking about Michael Olise, Chelsea, other interested parties and everything else in between. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section. I'm sure you'll have a lot of interesting thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, in regards to this potential transfer story that I'm sure will all make for great and interesting reading. So please do get involved down below. Use and abuse that comment section. People would love to hear from you on this. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk Michael Olise. Let's talk a potential move to Chelsea and everything else in between. Like I say, 12 months ago, we were here, weren't we, with Michael Olise. He was very much being hyped up, talked about as to making a big move away from Crystal Palace. Chelsea were obviously spending the cash at will last summer, and it seemed like they were going to add Olise to their, on paper at least, incredible looking squad. Manchester City were also involved. The likes of Manchester United were rumoured to be involved as well. And it has grown over the past 12 months. He may have rejected Chelsea's approach over the last 12 months, but of course that was to sign a new deal with Crystal Palace. Now, some may say, why did he do that? I think it was because he wanted a further year of development at Crystal Palace, which some players are taking now. When you look at how some of the bigger clubs are coming in for some of these players that are playing for the lesser clubs, in quotation marks, you can see that some of them are actually thinking a bit more about the move and are not just jumping at the first chance they get joining a bigger club. Some of them are actually taking their time to develop. I think on Olise's side, I think there was maybe an agreement of some kind with Crystal Palace, similar to what Benjamin Sesko is going through right now, in which maybe he will be sold later on down the line. There is, of course, the reported release clause, which we'll go on to in a little bit. But I think for Olise, it meant a further year of development. It meant that he could obviously line up and move later on down the line after that development. And of course, he's helping Crystal Palace out, because Crystal Palace then gain, because he probably will get a higher transfer fee, which will obviously help the club out. So everybody is seemingly a winner. The party that wants to take Olise off of Crystal Palace's hands, Olise himself for getting a further year of development, getting a higher contract in the meantime, and then, of course, Palace, who will get a higher fee for their prized asset. So everybody is a winner. And, of course, lining up that fee later on down the line in the form of a £60 million release clause is obviously smart on Olise's part. The issue that you've got is that £60 million release clause seemingly only works for Champions League clubs. Now, that obviously doesn't apply to Chelsea, because Chelsea are a Europa Conference League club going into next season. But for whatever reason, the Blues are somehow confident that they have done enough groundwork on this that Olise will choose them over anybody else, and that they are confident that they can hit that £60 million benchmark and not go completely overboard in the transfer fee of Michael Olise. But like I say, they will face competition. They will face competition because the added on interest in him over the course of the past year has been huge. So much so that the likes of Manchester City are still rumoured to be interested, with obviously Manchester United, Arsenal, Newcastle, and of course Bayern Munich all said to be reportedly linked to the winger. So they could face stiff competition, but obviously Chelsea have beaten people to or beaten clubs to signings in the past. You have to look at last year in the form of Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia, seemingly close to joining Liverpool at a certain point, but then of course Chelsea managed to beat them to the punch. What are they getting if they get Olise? Well, they're getting a brilliant, fantastic player in my opinion. A brilliant winger who's had a brilliant season. He missed half a season, but still managed to accumulate 10 goals and 6 assists in 19 appearances. If his season hadn't been hit by a double hamstring injury which ruled him out for half the campaign, who knows what kind of numbers this guy would have been posting. Maybe it did help that Oliver Glasner came in when he did, but at the same time, this isn't like it's a one-season wonder thing. This guy has been developing over the past few years and has obviously been getting better and better with age and experience. The guy's got everything. The guy has got everything that you need from a winger. He's also versatile enough that he can play through the centre, but I think the wing position is where he's most dominant. He's got pace, he's got power, he's got technical ability, he's got good instinct, good movement, he's got great vision, great creativity. The guy's got everything. He's got skill, he's got flair, he's exciting to watch, and as noted, his goal-scoring output is certainly on the improvement side of things. And you would imagine that playing alongside better players, with all due respect to Crystal Palace, and a team that is going to be a step up from Palace, again with all due respect, his goal scoring output may yet improve further. He may get more goal scoring output in terms of, assists and goals and things of that nature. So I like this. I like the idea of Chelsea going for it. I just wish, my club of Liverpool would actually go for it. I think this could be an incredible signing, and I think this could definitely be an potentially incredible replacement for Mohamed Salah in the future. I think this could be, in the long run, a very good investment for Liverpool to obviously do, but it doesn't seem like we're very much interested, in all honesty. The only issue that you would have with Olise is his injury record. Now, over the past year, like I say, he's missed half a season with injury. A hamstring injury that ruled him out at the beginning of the season, and it seems that the second hamstring injury was a knock-on from that, I think. I could be wrong. It could be the other hamstring. I think, though, I'm right in thinking or remembering that I think it was the same hamstring. It was just like a knock-on injury. The hope there is that it's just a one-off. The hope there is that this is not going to be a thing that is reoccurring. The hope there is that this is not going to be a thing that is going to plague and trouble his career going forward. The hope is that is going to be a one-off injury that happens to all footballers as they're getting older, particularly the young ones. And it's just a one-off injury. That is the hope. That is the hope. It's the only thing that I think is going to be a little bit concerning to most in going about this transfer. But otherwise, I think this is a fantastic move for Chelsea. I think he's a fantastic player with still yet more room to grow and evolve his game. And he's only going to get better with age, experience. I think it's a move that obviously is a bit of a no-brainer, in all honesty. A banker, as Gary Neville would call it. But is this the right move for Michael Olise? Now, in terms of financial gain, and in terms of obviously more experience and European football, and a step up from Crystal Palace, yes, it is. On those kind of aspects alone, it is worth it for Michael Olise. But is it worth it in terms of the bigger picture? Is it worth it in terms of winning silverware, challenging for titles, having that long-term longevity that could cement your legacy in the Premier League? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Here's my issue with it, right? It's that Chelsea is a massive risk right now. It is a huge gamble. It is a huge gamble for any player to go there. We've seen over the past couple of years, players go there with the same sort of specification and criteria. Are you young? Have you got promise and potential? Are you somewhat inexperienced that we can grow into a club that is built for a few years' time and then for the longevity beyond that point? Olise fits that criteria. He's got a lot of promise. He's got a lot of potential. He's a little different in terms of he's got Premier League experience and he is ready to take on the Premier League here and now. But for the most part, he could still grow into something even more special than what he's already becoming. He's a little bit different in that aspect. But when you look at the players around him, when you look at how inexperienced they are, when you look at how much they've got yet to grow, when you look at how much there is still left in this Chelsea side to potentially fill out, grow, change again, because remember, this isn't just an Enzo Maresca Chelsea side. He's only just came in. This is a side that's been put together under 3, 4, 5, 6 different managers in the past 3 years. This is a Frankenstein squad that needs a deep thinking about, that needs to be looked at and going, right, we've got like players from different managers that play different styles. We need to take this apart and surgically take it apart. Just needs deep surgery, in my opinion. You add another manager to the mix and you add a few more players to the mix and you take out a few more players, and I've said before, it's a very delicate and awkward situation, considering, of course, this is a side that is... Oh, this is a club, sorry, that is very impatient. This is a club board that is very impatient. Add that to the high demand that those two entities want almost straight away. It's not exactly the most easy or safe solution. And I fear for Olise that maybe he will waste a few good years of his career going to a team that has got a lot of players that are promising prospects, but they're all expected to grow together to reach their full potential, and that just, I don't think, happens in the modern day game. You don't get a big group of players that actually do that anymore. And you're expecting him to hit the ground running straight away. There'll be big pressure from him from the media. There'll be big pressure from him from certain people that want him to hit the ground running because it will be a big transfer fee and a big price. I'm not so sure that added pressure will be good for him. I'm not so sure the added pressure of going to Chelsea, which is, like I say, a massive gamble right now, is going to be beneficial to him. But yet, here we are talking about Chelsea being in pole position to sign Michael Olise despite not being in Champions League football. It's just going to be very interesting to see how this transfer saga goes. I'm a bit annoyed that my club, Liverpool, is not in for him, but at the same time, it's going to be an interesting saga whichever way, shape or form this plays out. Look, there is the potential of him remaining at Palace. I don't necessarily think that will happen, but of course, there's always a chance that that may happen for at least another year. There is the potential of Manchester United. There's a potential of Arsenal. There's a potential of maybe even Newcastle. Chelsea in pole position does not strike me as odd. It's not surprising whatsoever. They still have this weird pull. But for me, when you add a young and experienced manager who I'm predicting to somewhat flop very early on, because you have a fan base that is very much got high expectations and is very impatient, and a board which are seemingly growing tired of spending all of this money and it not coming to fruition, who are getting impatient themselves. I just don't think that's the right kind of environment that Olise can flourish in and continue to grow in. It happens. Look, Cole Palmer has done it. I get it. Olise being a bit more further on than a lot of them players in terms of experience in the Premier League, and of course his natural and obviously worked hard for ability, may obviously help that. May obviously help him in this kind of environment. But is it going to be a successful career for him overall? Maybe in the very, 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 very long run, it could work. Eventually, you could throw enough money at it that it eventually does work. But I'm not so sure. I'm not 100% convinced by this Chelsea project. I know where they want to go, but I don't think they know the steps that it takes to get there. Olise will be a fantastic signing for them. And worst comes to the worst, they buy him for like, what, 60 odd million? They probably can sell him on a little bit further on down the line if things don't quite work out, and they probably go for about 6 new managers in that time. And they can sell him on for a similar price, or maybe even make a bit of profit, because Olise is just that good, and we know that. The hope is that his injuries don't take off and don't continue to escalate. But as I say, obviously time will tell on that one. But the bottom line here is that Chelsea are seemingly in pole position to sign Michael Olise this summer from Crystal Palace. A lot of interested parties are waiting in the wings, but of course these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this Michael Olise transfer situation? Do you think he will go to Chelsea? Do you think there's another team waiting to pounce on this transfer situation? Or do you think Crystal Palace may be able to keep him on for at least one more year? Let me know what you guys think and feel in the comment section down below. Your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it on this subject will be very much interesting to read. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up and enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. Speak to you very, very soon.